Hey, good morning. So for this episode of Get to Know Your Roaster, I think this is number 4, I wanted to go ahead and talk about the actual machine, the roasting machine, types of machines, why I use this machine, that kind of thing, just in case anybody has an interest in that. And I'm interested if there are any home roasters out there who would comment on this. And you know, I'm learning still, and it's an ongoing process of educating myself on all of the types and how to operate this machine still. I think I'm getting close to 5,000 roasts on this machine, but I'm still learning it, you know, and it's because there's a lot going on. But basically, as far as I know, there are 3 different kinds of roasters out there. There's the drum roaster, which is what this is, and by far and away that is the most popular commercial brand of commercial type of roaster is the drum roaster. Then there's the hot air roaster, or the fluid bed roaster, and then there is the infrared roaster. And the infrared, it just I don't know a lot about the infrared, but it basically radiates heat directly to the bean somehow. And then the air roaster, the fluid bed roaster, is actually using the air to turn that in a space inside of the roaster, and it actually uses the air only in itself to heat the beans and roast the beans. And then you have the drum roaster, and the drum roaster here, there's a drum inside of this portion of the machine right here, and that drum is turning, and those beans are in there, and they are constantly turning over on themselves and using both convective and conductive heat. So convective has to do with air, the heat of the air, and then conductive has to do with contact. So you're conducting heat into the bean via both the drum, the actual metal of the drum. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the science of roasting the bean has to do with the speed at which you're turning the drum, because a lot of that conductive heat comes from the other beans. So on the side here, over here, I have a drum speed that I use and I change based on, for me, I change it based on the size of the roast. So if I'm going to vary that, then I'm going to adjust that. Give me just a second. This one is going into first crack. Make some adjustments here. And check this out. Let's slow down this roast a little bit. Okay, so I was talking about convective and conductive. So conductive heat comes from the bean. So like if you put a smaller roast size inside of your drum and you have that drum still going at full speed, those beans will be flying around in there and they're not touching each other. And a lot of that roasting comes from those beans conducting heat off of each other, actually touching each other. So you want to slow down the drum when there's less beans in there so that they stay together, kind of the bottom portion, and they're rolling around on each other and roasting on each other. And so that's where that comes in. Then you have your fan speed here, and I adjust that based on a variety of different things, but based on size or the moisture in the bean, whether or not I need to slow the roast down or speed the roast up. The fan speed basically is used, you want to have it at just the right point to where it's pulling air out into the chaff collector, which is over here. You want to pull that smoke out so it's not roasting in its own smoke. And some can do this, but you want to pull more of that smoke out. And then the chaff, as the beans crack, and you're hearing them here, is they're cracking, all that outside chaff is popping off of the bean. And so you want to pull that chaff out because you don't want that cooking in there too. So this fan is pulling that out, but if you turn the fan too high, first of all, it's going to cool the roaster down, which you don't want to do, but it's also going to pull actual beans out into the chaff collector, so I don't want to do that. So there's a lot of different settings that I want to have, and I have what they call a profile. Roasters have profiles at which they want to see their bean go from green to yellow, and they want to see first crack, and they want to see second crack if they're going into a dark roast. And so with this roaster, I have a particular time set for all of my different origins. And anyways, so just different portions. You have your drop tray here. This is where I put in the beans, the green beans, before I drop them into the actual drum. This right here will be releasing the beans into the cooling tray, which I'll do here in a second. And then I have a release off the cooling tray into the bucket there. I'm actually going to release this one so that you can see it. But I'm going to turn these fans on. I'm going to turn my cooling tray arms on. And I'm going to release, take these out here before it gets too far into the roast. So I'm just finishing up this medium roast here. And I'm going to get all these beans out, check all of my settings, make sure everything's where I want it to be, check my temps, make sure that's right. Go ahead and save my profile on my program here because I like to keep up with that. And then that's the roast. So anyways, that's a drum roast. That's what I use, a drum roaster. And hopefully in that very quick and concise explanation, you were able to get an idea of the type of roaster I use, the type of roasters others use, and reach out, ask questions if you have any more questions. Thanks.